Hello friend, and welcome to this Tunisian stitch guide video where I show you how to make a particular Tunisian stitch. So today I'm going to be focusing on the extended simple stitch, and this is a great alternative if you're doing the Tunisian simple stitch, the regular one, and it's curling up a lot and you're like, I'm frustrated, I don't want to do this anymore. This is a great one because this one doesn't have as much curl as that one does. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Now, if you haven't watched my Tunisian simple stitch video, I would highly encourage you to do that because it's going to have a lot of good information about how to avoid curl in your projects. I'm not going to go over any of that because I've already covered it. So if you want information about that, then go ahead and click the little card up here, the little link up here. It'll, tell you all about that stuff. So I have a measure of yarn here. This is a worsted weight yarn, and I'm going to chain any number of stitches. So it could be even, it could be odd, it could be a lot, it could be a little. So I'm going to do 20 because I think that'll give us a good piece of fabric to work with. Oh no. Y'all watch the bottom left-hand side. My yarn spaghetti's coming for me. Look. It was creeping up. All right. So I've actually lost count. I don't know how many I have because I was goofing off. So I've got my chain here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up my foundation row, which is basically just me going into these chains and pulling up a loop all the way down. So let's get our foundation row out of the way. All right, so now I'm at the end of my foundation row here, and this is what I have so far. I'm going to go ahead and do my backwards pass, which is the same unless otherwise stated. It's the same for all Tunisian stitches, so it's just basic backwards pass. And of course, you can review all this information. I go in depth in that Tunisian simple stitch video. I go nice and slow and show you how to do it. So all the videos that I post now in regards to Tunisian is going to lean off of that information. So if you haven't watched it, watch it. It's going to come in handy. All right, so here's where we get into the extended simple stitch. So we did our backwards pass just now, and now we're at the beginning of our row here. I'm going to chain one, and then I'm going to skip this first stitch here, which is these two vertical bars. I'm going to skip those, and then I'm going to go in like I'm doing a Tunisian simple stitch. So from right to left in the front bar only, yarn over, pull up, and then once I'm there, I'm going to chain one. So let's do that again. Through the front bar from right to left, pull up a loop, and then chain one. And I'm going to do that all the way down. So this is adding just a little bit of extra height, which I think is what helps eliminate the curl because it's not so bunched up on itself. And I'll show you what I mean here in a minute after we do our backwards pass. Here comes my cake of yarn watch in the left-hand corner. It's so nonsense. Just a bunch of nonsense happening. Trying to mess me up. Look at that. And look at this nonsense going on. Let me put this down for a second. Hold on. Shenanigans. Alright, so we're at the end here, and I'm going to do my final stitch at the end, which you know is to turn, catch both those legs under there, pull up a loop, and then we're going to chain one. So it's going to bring us up to our next row. So now I'm going to go ahead and do my backwards pass. I think this is the biggest key when you're doing your backwards pass. If you can keep that loose without pulling and creating too much tension, I think that will eliminate the majority of the curl no matter what you're doing, no matter what stitch pattern you're doing. So I always keep the lightest tension possible when I'm doing my backwards pass. And that seems to help me out. All right, so there's my backwards pass complete. So let's take a look at what we have so far. I'm going to pull up this loop here so I can get a little bit of negotiating room. All right, so you can see it looks very much like the Tunisian Simple Stitch here. So we have our fabric here, but we also have a little nub right at the top, which is that chain one. And that is what makes it the extended stitch. So instead of it being short, it's now a little bit taller because of that chain one. All right, so let's go ahead and do another pass of this. So it's going to be the same thing over and over again. So now we're just going to chain one. Again, we're going to skip that first stitch. And then we're going to go into the next one, pull up a loop, and chain one. We're going to do that all the way down. So that's going to be your row repeat. All right, I'm coming up to the end here. Let's go ahead and do our end stitch and then do our backwards pass. And we'll see what it looks like after 2 repeats of that row. All right, let's pull up a loop. I'm gonna drop this down. Okay. So notice there's very little curl. There's a little bit of curl here, but I think it's just because the work is so small and it's wanting to pull up. And as we work more, it'll flatten out more. So I think this is a beautiful stitch. If you're wanting an alternative to the Tunisian Simple Stitch, then this is a fantastic choice. And works up very pretty, works up very dense. Not as dense as the simple stitch, so if we turn it around, let's take a look at the back here. So the back's not going to be as dense as the simple stitch. There is going to be a little bit of give in it. And this has a little bit more flex as well. So I'm going to go ahead and do a couple more rows here of this pattern repeat. And then I'll come back and show you what the fabric looks like. Alright, so there's what the fabric looks like as it continues to work up. It's very beautiful, I think. I love the little nubs there. I think they added a character to the fabric that the Tunisian Simple Stitch perhaps just doesn't have. So I'm not going to bind off or anything in this video because I'm going to use this. I'm going to unravel it and use this yarn again. But if you want to know how to bind off, just go ahead and go into that Tunisian Simple Stitch video that I linked earlier, and you'll find out how to bind off here without any gaps or anything in your work. All right, I hope you appreciated this video. If you did, leave me a like, comment, or subscribe, or all if you are feeling particularly appreciative of my work here. Until next time, happy stitching!